If you've ever spent time reading the comments under any video featuring deGrasse Tyson on social media, chances are you came across an overwhelming number of comments basically hating on the guy. Or perhaps you're one of those who leave comments like this. And what's even worse, at first glance, almost always these comments have nothing to do with the remarks Neil made in the video. Most, if not all, the video will seem to call his intelligence into question without ever addressing any mistakes he may have made in the video. These gentlemen are a perfect example of this irrational hate for Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Neil deGrasse Tyson is the biggest scam in the history of scams.
Let's talk about it.
There's something about him that's just phony. Even when he tells me facts I know to be true, I say feh.
That man has a dulcet tones. Have you ever heard him speak?
Yeah,
Beautiful.
all the time.
Beautiful voice.
Gets on my every last nerve.
What don't you like about it? He's the eternal optimist because he believes in the universe. He believes in the common man.
He's always laughing at himself about how smart he is and you're not. Like, he does that thing, you know? He does that little
Yeah, he does do the heh.
Yeah.
But he's a
lot.
genius. He's an absolute certified genius.
I don't know. I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
How could I know if he's a genius? I have to assume he's as dumb as I am.
And when you head to the comment section, you find a whole lot of people agreeing with them that Tyson just isn't likable. Quite literally, I couldn't find a single one that criticizes any point Tyson has ever made on the internet. Now, for those of you who don't know who the star of today's video is, Neil deGrasse Tyson is an American astrophysicist and science communicator. He earned his BA in physics from Harvard, a PhD in astrophysics from Columbia, and then did postdoctoral work in Princeton University. He is also easily the most famous astrophysicist alive today, and he is widely credited with almost single-handedly popularizing science among people like me who would otherwise never be interested in astrophysics. He just has a way of simplifying even the most complicated subjects and making them understandable to the simple mind. You should definitely check out his subject startup to see what I'm talking about. I'll leave a link to it in the description section below. Anyway, the idea for this video was born approximately 9 months ago when Neil deGrasse Tyson appeared on the Valuetainment podcast. In one of the segments that were posted on YouTube, Neil deGrasse explains why TikTok should be banned. I will also leave a link to that video in the description section below. Now, before watching that video, I had just watched another video from the same podcast where the comment section basically mercilessly trolled him for his take on the vaccine and why he believed that every single person should take the vaccine. So I took the opportunity to leave the following comment on the TikTok video. I don't understand the fake hate around Neil deGrasse Tyson. Most people complain that he pretends to have an answer for everything, but they never point out anything incorrect he has claimed. I enjoy how he approaches these issues, and if he was so fraudulent, why do these interviewers keep having him on? Even the realest ones, including Ben Shapiro, Joe Rogan, and PBD here, have never seemed to have an issue with him. Yet some of you seem to find fault in everything he does. Is it just standard bigotry or what? And remember, this is January 2023, long before I considered ever starting this YouTube channel. Now, for those getting mildly triggered for my insinuation of possible bigotry, it's because I only noticed this hate when he appeared on right-leaning platforms like the Valuetainment Show, Ben Shapiro, the Rubin Report. You get the idea. Plus, some replies are quite honest about why they hated the gentleman. Couple that with the fact that Neil, who is black, has had some pretty strong opinions on social justice, which you all know are not conservative views. And come on, you cannot deny that there is a prevalent attitude among Americans where basically if I do not agree with your opinions, then you must just be stupid. Anyway, the comment that I left on the Valuetainment clip received a fair number of comments, but none of them really gave an answer that even remotely addressed the question I asked. That said, an answer that kept popping over and over again is that he interrupts a lot. The best example being an appearance that he made on the Joe Rogan podcast. Now, honestly, I did watch the Joe Rogan podcast and these guys are right. In some instances, Tyson barely let Joe Rogan get a word in.
You know.
So specifically, these things have to
Europeans
take place.
didn't come to Hawaii and find legions of scientists there conducting experiments. Okay, they found native peoples governing themselves.
The real problem too is, I think, it's
if you value mountain climbing and you want to keep doing it, then you're old enough to remember when I got to look up this word in a dictionary, and you get through 6 other words. Oh, I never knew that word. Let me read that. You learn other words en route to the word you're targeting.
I understand.
Okay, so that is how I feel.
But let's be honest, the hate existed long before that. So allow me to take you on a trip down memory lane. Now, straight off the bat, let's get something out of the way. Neil deGrasse Tyson is outstandingly smart, probably smarter than 99% of us. No one goes to Harvard, gets a degree, heads to Columbia, gets a PhD, and then does postdoctoral work at Princeton without being a very, very smart individual. Like, top of the heap. smart. And as you're about to see, the history of the I Hate Neil deGrasse Tyson Club is just about to prove that. Neil became perhaps best known for being the man held most responsible for stripping Pluto off its planetary status. The planet got reclassified as a dwarf planet, a move which, according to Tyson himself, prompted hate mail from tens of thousands of young people who had come to identify with the planet. I won't lie, I'm salty about it as well. Now all the nursery rhymes I've been looking forward to passing down to my kids make no sense. Now, coincidentally, however, the attention Neil received from this is what propelled him to the ever-burgeoning career that we know him for today. He literally became the go-to astrophysicist for multiple programs and channels across the nation. Now, needless to say, him embracing the fame amidst all the hate was only destined to be a recipe for disaster. And it didn't help that the guy went on a literal Twitter tirade, calling out everything that didn't make sense to him in popular culture. And I mean everything from the science behind Star Wars to unpopular opinions. All this is perfectly exemplified in an article I found on Vice titled Neil deGrasse Tyson, Please Shut the Fuck Up. From the title alone, you know this is about to be a great article. And the opening statement is just as strong. The acclaimed astrophysicist, accused rapist, and mass shooting minimizer and serial bad poster needs to log off. Let's address the first one, beginning with the grape allegations. In 2018, a musician by the name, I'm not sure I can pronounce this name, but she accused Tyson of drugging and raping her while both of them were graduate students at the University of Texas in 1984. Shortly after her allegation grabbed public attention, 3 more women would come forward with allegations of sexual misconduct by Tyson, the first one being Ashley Watson. She was Tyson's assistant on a show that Tyson was hosting called The Cosmos. She alleged that during a visit to Tyson's apartment, he held her hand and stared right into her eyes for about 10 seconds. And when she inquired what the fuck Tyson was doing, he allegedly claimed that this is a Native American handshake that he had recently learned. Then Mrs. Watson goes on to claim that as she was leaving, Tyson told her, I want you to know that I want to hug you so bad right now, but I know that if I do, I'll just want more. The second lady, Caitlin Arlos, was an associate professor of physics and astronomy at Bucknell University in Pennsylvania. She said she met Tyson at a party in 2009 during a gathering of the American Astronomical Society. So apparently this lady has a tattoo of the solar system that stretches along her arm all the way to her collarbone. She claims that when she met Tyson, he followed the tattoo with her hand in a manner that made her uncomfortable. And when she threw a question, hey, what are you doing? Apparently Mr. Tyson claimed that he was looking for Pluto. The third lady, who chose to remain anonymous, claimed that Tyson made inappropriate remarks to her during a 2010 holiday party at the American Museum of Natural History. Shortly thereafter, Neil deGrasse Tyson responded to the allegations in a long, detailed Facebook post that I'll link to in the description section below. I encourage you to check it out yourself. Now, in the post, he recounted that he and the first lady met and briefly dated back at university, but he vehemently denied any allegations of groping the lady. Now, for the other 3 allegations, he actually corroborated the lady's facts around the encounters, but claimed that his actions were misinterpreted by the ladies, and he did apologize for any misunderstanding or offense he may have caused. Now, almost immediately, the Museum of Natural History, where Tyson is the director of the Hayden Planetarium, put Tyson under investigation. Fox and National Geographic would soon follow suit. They announced that they fought for the episodes of Star Trek and the premiere of Tyson's new show on hiatus in order to allow the investigation to occur unimpeded. All the companies involved would later announce that their investigation cleared Tyson of any wrongdoing and they resumed their working relationship with him. Now, as this opening of the Vice article proves, however, we live in a time and age where simply getting accused is enough to leave you branded for a lifetime. Now, regarding him being a mass shooting sympathizer, that has to do with this tweet from Dr. Tyson in the wake of the mass shooting in El Paso, Texas and Dayton, Ohio. Yeah, he missed the mark big time on this one. He practically all lives mattered the situation. But unlike what this dude is trying to imply, I see no signs of him trying to minimize the mass shooting or sympathize with the mass shooter. He thought this was the perfect time to bring these issues to most people's attention, and while what he did was massively offensive and insensitive, his intention clearly wasn't to minimize or sympathize with the mass shooter. The post then goes on and on and on with screenshots from Neil's Twitter profile, but most of these are just texts the writer probably didn't agree with. Now, probably except this one where Neil deGrasse Tyson was flat out misinformed. Apparently, hooking up for cats is quite literally like R. Kelly. I mean torture. And I also learned recently that the word consent doesn't exist in the dark vocabulary. So overall, I guess it's things like those we've discussed here that Neil's haters love to latch on in an effort to discredit him. I certainly acknowledge that the man should tread lightly every time he ventures into a subject he is not an expert in. But he isn't a fool or a deceitful individual by any stretch of the imagination. I know even the smartest person in the world does make statements that upon further study can't be proven not to be 100% true. The only difference is that most of Neil's life and opinions are on Twitter for everyone to criticize. I also acknowledge that he might come off as a party pooper or a prideful know-it-all to some people, and it's okay to dislike that about him. But to take that dislike and use it in an effort to assassinate the guy's character every chance you get, yeah, that's excessive, even for social media. I love this comment that I found on one of the videos on YouTube. So yeah, what's this guy's name? Bruce Schwartz, a senior writer at Vice. He took an entire page to call out Neil deGrasse Tyson like he's the human personification of screaming children in a theater. But then he went on to say nothing of substance in my opinion. Or am I wrong? Anyway, to conclude, why do you really hate or dislike Neil deGrasse Tyson? Why do you think comments like these are warranted or make sense in the first place? And please only leave coherent answers with only specific details that everyone watching the video can follow and investigate. But if you can't, and you're one of these bandwagon haters, then yeah, perhaps it's time you look inwards or get yourself some help.